Afternoon, Gossip Cultures family is Lisa here at Gossip Cultures. Find your own voice, the lead promoting. So I am with Amanda Murray today. How are you, Amanda?
I'm so good. How are you?
Good, good. So it's good to have you today. Normally, I'm on my own. Um, trying to open the Zoom to go on Facebook, but it's not opening. Come on. Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I think I am.
So while she's figuring out her just getting it on to stream, I can start. So the topic for today, which I think is a really great one, it's called Solo Valentine Celebrations, the Rise of Self-Love and Anti-Valentine's Trends. And I think that it's really good because well, I guess for me, being a single mom for so long, like it's been like over 10 years now, where I've basically been single every single Valentine's Day almost, or that I've been dating somebody, but like my daughter's been my focus. So I spend Valentine's Day with my daughter. And when she was really little, we did things like we'd go out and we'd have like the heart pizzas together and things like that. And I just like would do it and make it special for her. And I think that that's something that, like, especially if you're a single parent, it doesn't have to be Valentine's Day for like an intimate partner. It can be Valentine's Day just for people that you love in general. And we can spread love that way. And there can be like, I know even I teach grade 5, and even in grade 5, they still love to hand out like Valentine's cards. Some of them are over it and they're like, I'm not doing that. But some of them still are like, but we have to hand out cards. So I just make it optional. And I'm like, if you want to hand them out, you can, but if you do, you have to hand it to everybody. Um, and it's so like they're so cute when they get them and when they do stuff like that. Like it's just, but I think too, like if you are in an intimate relationship, that's if you're not doing anything special for those type of days, like that really starts to show like the decline of your relationship. Because I remember probably about 3 years ago now, I was going to the gym on Valentine's Day because my daughter was at my ex-husband's, and um I had a girlfriend that was married. This was like, I'm coming to the gym with you. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, you and your partner, you don't do anything for Valentine's Day together? She's like, oh God, no. And was like quite like a little bit upset, but not that bad. And anyways, we worked out, and then like 6 months later or 8 months later, I had messaged both of them because I was friends with both of them, and I found out they were getting divorced. Like in a group text, I was like, oh, oops. Sorry. He's like, you haven't talked to Melvin, like whoever in a while. And I was like, no, I haven't. What's going on? And they were like, well, we're separated like 6 months ago. I was like, oh. Okay then. But I was like, that's for me like kind of an indication of like your relationship's falling apart. Like if you're not making each other a priority, it doesn't have to be on Valentine's Day. You better be making each other a priority on more than just Valentine's Day, and not being like a grandiose narcissist where you only like go over the top on those special days and then the rest of the year completely ignore your partner or invalidate your partner. And so I think sometimes too is like that's almost like a relationship check-in time. Valentine's Day doesn't have to be like going out for fancy dinners like on the specific day, but it's maybe a check-in of like, am I valuing my partner? Am I showing up? Am I like actually being a partner? Are we working together? Do we have shared goals? Are we working towards something? Do we support each other in things that we are looking for, striving for? Do we plan vacations together? I think those are the things that like it's almost like a like relationship checkup time, because if you're not making each other a priority, then you probably aren't really in a relationship. You're in some sort of situationship, even if you are married, or you're just like glorified roommates. And I think that lots of people, even like because I struggle sometimes with being single for so long. And one of my really good friends has said to me, like, I wish I was more like you, where you can be on your own and you can do this. And he's said, like, I'm in a loveless marriage and I've been this way for so long, but I just don't leave because it feels like too much work. And so I'm like, but that's not any way to live. And he's like, I know, but I just focus on my business and like that part of me is like just like basically numb. Like that's there, it's a completely loveless marriage. And I'm like, and I like try to be like, okay, but like, can you either work on it or like maybe it's time to leave? Like one of the two. Like you either have to be like full in and like actually doing what's best to be like full partners in this, or like just do both of you a favor and walk away. And so I think sometimes that's our like this time of year is kind of our check-in, right? Our check-in of like, am I showing up as the best version of myself for myself and my partner? And if not, maybe I need to make a change.
I like that, Amanda, that you mentioned that Valentine's Day doesn't have, you don't have to spend it with your intimate partner. You can spend it like with your daughter and then make it so special, or even at school, you can spend it with the kids and make it so special, your teacher. And also, I like the party where your friend mentioned that though he's in a relationship, but he's in a loveless relationship. I think there is loads of that. Like 60% of most relationships, they're just like that. People just live together loveless and they can't be bothered because they don't want to divorce. It's too much hard work. They rather go on pills and depression, living with someone they don't really want to live with. It's too much hard work. It's too costly. People have this thing, but I rather not have money than be happy. Honestly, I rather live on my own. Because when you live with someone and you don't really want to be with them, it's depressing. So I think Valentine's Day is one of those days that I don't go out on Valentine's Day, by the way, guys. And the reason is where I live is so expensive. So if you were to go out for a meal, if a meal will cost you £300 that day, Valentine's Day, it will cost you 4 times or 5 times. They take so much advantage of all these things, consumer stuff. And also it's so busy. I just, unless the Valentine's Day falls on Saturdays, I don't have a choice, then I have to go out. But I have to pick up places that are very, very quiet. But if it's in the week, then I go out on the weekend at the weekend. So I think it's really, really important, like Amanda, you said that. So you mentioned that you struggle being a single or being staying single. Why do you struggle? Why can't you just have fun? Because that time will never come again.
Well, I think it's just like because it's been so long and I've like had different relationships throughout, but nobody that's like wow to me and made me like been like a true partner, right? And I'm really looking for like a true partner. I definitely had relationships that I could have dragged out for a lot longer, but I just like you're not my forever person. You're not the person that I want to build a life with. Like it was a lovely relationship for the time that it lasted, but you're just I can't see myself wanting to grow old with you. Is
Then
really
you
like,
need to go out. You need to register yourself to the clubs. There are clubs where people meet up, like um, like business-minded people. Business-minded people is hard to find someone that you love, really, truly, truly connected to, because everyone is all about business. But you need to find those clubs. I don't know if they have them in Canada where like they have like millionaire clubs and that when you can have a membership for a year where you just meet up just to make friends and stuff like people who are professionals like you. That's where matchmakers find clients. Yeah, so yeah, but I think sometimes like as you say, you've been single for a long time, I believe that the right guy is coming. As long as you just have
Mhm.
to enjoy and make the most of that singleness, because you're never gonna get that time again. So it's really, really important. I like it when you put the example that about the couples that are not they're in a relationship, but not really in a relationship. So it's nice, really, on these days. But do we actually need to be reminded about love, or every day should be our Valentine's Day?
Pardon?
Do we actually need to wait to celebrate our love on Valentine's Day, or every day should be, I'm being Kamau here, or every day should be Valentine's Day?
No, I definitely think like I was reading a thing the other day about relationships and how to make your relationship work. And one of the things that I saw online, it was this couple who was ready to essentially get divorced. And
Mhm,
then they decided to give it one last go, but they both were willing to work on it. And what they did essentially was they made date night, like they booked date nights no matter what. So they had one date night a week with no kids, where they left the kids at home and they got either like their parents or a family member to watch their children, or they got a babysitter, so that no matter what, once a week they had a couple hours together. And then once every quarter they went away for the weekend. And then once every like year they would go away for like 4 or 5 days with no children. And that's essentially what saved their marriage, was they prioritized their relationship by essentially being like, okay, we are going to make each other a priority every single week at this time, and we're getting a babysitter, no kids. And then we're going to make each other a priority every single quarter by doing this, so that you always have something to look forward to. And I was like, I think that's essential. I think in this day and age, you essentially have to do something like that, where you are very intentional about making your relationship a priority. And if you're not doing that, then it collapses. And essentially, like any relationship that I've had where it just becomes routine and people aren't putting effort in, and then I because I'm willing to put effort into that, right? And into making sure that I do make the other person a priority, and I do um prioritize myself too, but also like we need to be on the same page and want to build something together. And if you're not willing to do that, then I'm just would rather be by myself. Right? But and when I look at like friends that have really, really good relationships, they are doing essentially that, even though they didn't necessarily like say, this is what we're doing. I know like a blended family friend of mine where they have like every Wednesday and Thursday, they don't have their kids, and so that's their like date nights no matter what. And then every like couple weeks when they don't have their kids on the weekend, they're like doing lots of stuff together, right? And then they go away like a couple times a year, which is and it's having the money to do that too, which is I think some people would argue, but that like, well, not everybody has the money to do that. But I think even if you like I know for myself, if I was really cautious of how I was spending money, I probably, even as a teacher, if I had a partner, we could go away for a night, right? In Canmore or Banff or something, and easily just go away. Or even if you were just to have like a staycation and you sent your kids to to the in-laws for the weekend, and you had a like stay-at-home cation where you weren't doing laundry or fixing the fence or whatever, and it was essentially like going away, but on a budget. And I think that that is possible. You would just have to make it a priority. And like you said, Nomza, that you don't actually go out on Valentine's Day because it's too expensive. I don't think you have to go out on Valentine's Day. I think you just have to prioritize each other, whether it's like making dinner together, or making each other's favorite meal, or going and getting a fun dessert together, or just something that shows that you love and appreciate the other person. And it can be like, we can't do it on this particular day, but we're going to go and do something on this day instead. Because I know even for myself, even when I was married a long time ago, I had to present at the university. I was doing my master's and I had to present at the university on the actual 14th. And I was very pregnant. I was like 9 months pregnant. Like she was due that day, actually. My daughter was due on the 14th of February, but she didn't come until February 25th. But essentially like we couldn't do anything on Valentine's Day because I was very pregnant and presenting at the university, and I worked all day and then went straight to university, and I was at the university until 8 o'clock at night. So on that particular day we couldn't do anything, but we made sure we did something either before or after. I think we did something on the weekend for it, right? And I know even when we talk about like that self-care and self-love, one year I think my daughter was like 4. I was already divorced by then, but I had been given a gift card by one of my students' parents who was a wedding planner, and it was essentially like you get $100 off any hotel in Banff because it was like part of her like wedding planning like business. And so she's like got these free things from the hotels all the time. And so it was like this fancy hotel in Banff where I still had to pay like $100 or $150 to go for the night or the weekend. I think I spent the weekend. And I took my daughter and I didn't realize it was Valentine's Day weekend. And we're like, we get there and she was wanted to go for this like fancy dinner in the hotel, and it was a beautiful hotel on like the Tunnel Mountain in Banff, and one of the very nice ones on Mountain. And all these people are like couples and having dinner, and I'm like looking around, I'm like, oh, it's Valentine's Day weekend. And here I am with my like 4-year-old, and she's like crawling under the table and just like no, I'm like having everybody's having this romantic dinner, and I'm like, can we have a grilled cheese, please? And she's like crawling all over me, and like I didn't realize it was such a fancy place, but we survived.
That's so funny.
And but it was like you just do things with the people that you love, right? And like, well, all these people, probably half of the people in there have already got divorced that were in that fancy restaurant. But like me and her, we just made the best of it. And it's one of my funniest like Valentine's weekends because I've A, forgot, and B, she's like just happy as can be, and there was like no other children in the entire hotel, basically. So yeah, we had the romantic weekend away, and we like played cards and like played Candyland because that was like the capabilities of her at that time, and we went skiing, and it was great. And I think sometimes we just like, especially if you're a single mom, you just need to like do things with your kids and like just create funny memories, right? I used to always make her like heart-shaped pancakes on Valentine's Day, or we'd go, like I said before, go out for a heart-shaped pizza together with some friends. And it really is that self-love piece. And like sometimes the friends that I would go out with were actually married, but their husbands like work away or something, right? Like lots of people where I live either like work on the rigs or like they were pilots or something. So their husband wasn't always here for the particular day. But I think sometimes like anti-Valentine's, and I wouldn't say that I was anti-Valentine's or like where they're like there's the like screw Valentine's Day parties, and so I don't think that's it. I think we should be spreading love to each other all the time, and
Yeah.
Valentine's Day just is like that reminder of check-in, right? Are we showing up for ourselves in self-love? Are we showing up for our partners or our children or anybody else in our life, our friends even? And so, yeah, I don't know. Do you have friends that are very anti-Valentine's Day because they're single? And I don't think I would never say that I was like anti-Valentine's Day. I like particularly I love going to the gym on Valentine's Day because it's like nobody there. It's quiet. Going out on Valentine's Day, like nobody's there. Or you know that everybody who is there is probably single just like you, so you don't feel so alone.
Most of my friends, some of them are married, some of them they are not. But it's like you said, most of them they've got children, they're single. Some of them are married, they spend time with their husband. And those who are single, they spend time with their children. Um, they have their own special going out or having meal with your children at home and stuff. So I have different mix. I don't have many friends anyway. So yeah, the different mix. But I think it is important, like Amanda, what you have said about these couples that decided to dedicate their time for date nights. And really set up days like where they say whether we like it or not on this day we're gonna go out and we're gonna compromise, we're gonna put ourselves first. I don't think people they do that very often, putting themselves first. I think when people have children, they feel very guilty in leaving children, but there are some people who understand the consequences of going through divorce and they will try really by their means to make sure that they prioritize their relationship as well. It does not have to be expensive, like going on big holidays. You can just prioritize even at home, movie nights, and just make it a Valentine's Day every day. Like Kamal says, he practices celebrating his birthday each and every day, and it makes him love himself and appreciate himself as well. So I think that's what love is about. To go out on Valentine's Day. If you've never tried to do something together with your spouse, even at home. You know, like we're very lucky now, we've got Amazon TV, we have Netflix where you can subscribe and get the films. So you can get films and go to supermarket to get popcorn, get microwave, create popcorn and just sit down and buy fancy drink, juice, cocktails, and just sit down and just celebrate those moments. I know there are some people who may say, but I cannot afford to do this, I cannot afford to do this. So the options are there as well, like bolognese, baking bolognese. Bolognese is romantic. You can make bolognese, chili with cheese on top, cream, and just be at home and just enjoy that moment together with your spouse. It does not have to be very expensive. I think at the end of the day, everything comes down to time and priorities as well. I've read Paul McKenna's book and said as well what you're saying, Amanda, that being many parents, couples that get married, life it ends up being about children. They will get children activities mandatory 7 days a week that they live in the car, they ignore each other, and when things go wrong, they blame each other, and that will be it. So I think it's really, really important to this couple for people to learn that if you want a relationship to work, you've got to make it work. You've got to compromise time, give yourself time. Valentine's Day, let 365 days be Valentine's Day. What do you think, Amanda?
Yeah, well, I agree. Like, I feel like if you are in a relationship, you have to show up
Yeah.
all the time, no matter what. I recently like reconnected with an ex-boyfriend from a very long time ago, and it was one that I really kind of regretted breaking up with, and it was before I ever got married or had Ella. And one of his comments actually really upset me because he's like, "Oh, we just broke up because of the distance." And I was like, "No, we didn't. That was not it. That was not it at all. We broke up because of priorities, because I wasn't feeling seen, heard, or valued for months and months and months and months. That it was, and I just sat quietly and watched, and I watched how you treated me. And that's why I ended up breaking up with you. It wasn't because I didn't love you. It wasn't because I didn't want to build a life with you. I just was tired of being the only one putting effort into our relationship. is essentially that was the reason I walked away. And that when I look at it, I'm like, that's the reason I walk away from every relationship, is because I don't feel seen, heard, or valued. And until I feel seen, heard, or valued by the person, and they're showing up and they're making an effort regularly. And even I think one of the things too is like learning how to argue, like how to fight, right? How to bring up things, because I think my biggest regret in leaving that relationship was that I didn't explain why I was leaving. I just was like, I'm done. I made this test up in my head to show if you cared about me, and you failed, so we're done. And I was like 26 at the time. Like I was very young, but like my test was like, will you get on a plane to come see me as your exams are over? Like they were in school and I was just beginning teaching. So we were only apart because he was like going to school. And will you come back for the summer? Because after this year, I'll have my full-time teaching certificate. We can move anywhere in the world like you want. Or will you just give me a straight answer if you're coming to one of my best friend's weddings in a month? Because like I need to give her an answer of if you're coming. And he didn't do any of those things. And so by the time his last exam was over and not one of those three things had been decided, I was like, okay, we're done. And I was like, I had it planned for like over a month of, you have till this time to make these things, to pick one of these things. And if you don't do one of these things, then like we're done. I didn't tell him, I didn't give him an ultimatum because I didn't think I should have to give somebody an ultimatum. I was like, if you truly cared about me, you would make sure that after your exams are done, you have booked a flight. Or you will come back for the summer because you have nothing holding you there. And then as soon as you're done, I'll be willing to move anywhere for you because I'll have what I need here for my career, which was 2 full years of teaching to get a full-time Canadian teaching certificate. And so my like regrets in leaving that was essentially that I didn't explain myself. I was just like, I'm mad, we're done. So like up until that point, I was like loving and caring and like trying to do everything to show him that I loved him. And then it probably came like out of the blue to him that I was leaving. But I was like, no, I talked to you about this for months, but not in an angry way, not in a mad way. I just like continuously was talking to you about the things that were upsetting me and you just ignored them and swept them under the rug. And so like, what was I supposed to do? Right. And I think sometimes people, especially males, they're like, oh, I'm so shocked that she wants to leave me. And it's like, but are you showing? Like even my friend who like got divorced, like the ones that I was telling you where the wife had come to the gym with me on Valentine's Day, and then it was actually the husband when I like sent a group text. They were like, you clearly haven't talked to her, have you? And I was like, no, haven't. We just got busy and like life went. And I was like, well, what did you expect when she's spending Valentine's Day with me and you're at home? Like what did you expect to happen? And like that's like those peels, those pieces of self-realization, right? Of like when you are not valuing something, it like will leave. That's it. Or they're like really unhealthy and in a codependent relationship with you because they are too unhealthy to leave. I think that happens a lot too, is where people aren't strong enough to leave an unhealthy relationship and they know it's unhealthy and they know it's not good for them, but they're too scared to be on their own because of either finances or just inability to be alone or anything, any of those like fears of abandonment, right? And I definitely think like getting a lot of counseling and support is something that helps, especially if you are one of those people that fear abandonment, or maybe hearing the fear of abandonment is like the first time in your life that you've ever heard it. But I really think that if you are in a truly loving, caring relationship, that you are valuing each other each and every day, just like you said, Nomza, that you are able to have discussions and come to like a compromise. And I think that that relationship that I was telling you about, that where I like really regretted it for a long time, but I don't. It just was that there was no compromise between both of us. If I wanted our relationship to work, it would have been always me compromising. And they had shown me that for months and months and months. And because we were together for like 5 years, I think, or 4 years, something like that, for a very long time in my 20s. And I came to the realization that if I wanted this to work, is like I would be the only one sacrificing, because even when I ask about things, it's just ignored, and we just have to do, in order for us to not argue, we have to just do what he wants to do. And I was like, that's not a relationship. That's not somebody I want to spend my entire life with, right? And so even though when I look back on my life, like that was probably one of the healthier relationships of my life, because we were so compatible in so many ways, but it was missing that ability to like
Compromise.
find a
Yeah.
middle ground on things that were important to me, right? And
Yeah.
find a middle ground. Even like one of my jokes is that, and one of my reasons for leaving that was like, we went to Peru. The only thing I wanted to do in Peru was go to Machu Picchu. That was the only thing. The rest of the trip, he got to pick everything. Guess what? We didn't go to Machu Picchu. I went all the way to Peru. The only thing I wanted to do on that entire trip was go to
You
Machu
couldn't
Picchu.
do it.
And we didn't get to go. And it was because I had read all about it. I said, we have to buy tickets in Cusco. We have to buy tickets at least this many days ahead of time. And he was like, no, no, it's fine. You don't know what you're talking about. We can just go to Ollantaytambo and we'll just buy tickets there and blah, blah, blah. We get to Ollantaytambo and it's a 3-day wait to get tickets to go to Machu Picchu. And I was like, I literally read about this on every single book that I bought about this. Was like before cell phones. I'm aging myself, but like this is before you could like look up things on your phone, right? You had like a book, The Lonely Planet, and you took that with you on your trip and it like explained everything to you. But I'm like, I read about this, I told you this like numerous times. And then you completely ignored me. And so we got to Ollantaytambo. It was a 3-day wait. We were only in Peru for 2.5 weeks. We wouldn't have got to go to Bolivia if we had stayed and sat there for 3 days. So we didn't go. So I went like halfway across the world to do one thing, and I didn't get to go because he completely ignored me. And then he's shocked when it's 8 months later, 10 months later, I break up with him. Like it.
Yeah, I think yes, sometimes men they relax and things like that. Like I said, the relationship. I've learned so much now, even in relationship with our children, or relationship with anybody. It actually requires you to have this mindset of saving. Am I saving you? How am I saving you? And just put someone's needs and your needs and making sure. Because at the end of the day, it's all about you two that needs to be happy. If you are both happy, of course, we can't be 100% happy. But as long as you both are happy and doing whatever you can, and that the other person, if they are willing to do their part and you're doing your part, and just making sure that, like you said, you're going on holiday. That is the moment where you go on holiday to have fun, to visit places like you enjoy. And the other person as well, they might have places they like to visit, and just making sure that you book everything, knowing that we're just going to have fun because it work off and stuff. So I think it's really, really important that many sometimes they do their own thing. And when the relationship is over, they're like, oh, okay, is it? Yeah.
Mhm.
But it's really, really important to treat your relationship as a Valentine's Day as every day. And also, um, like the forgiveness, learn to forgive each other as well. Things don't go right in that relationship, just forgive each other. I've seen some people, they end up not doing things, celebrating their relationship because they are holding grudges against each other. You
Mhm.
can't date somebody that you hold a grudge with. Or men, mostly with the guys, I think what is important, like the way approaches, I think it's nice when you enter a relationship to actually find a coach, have a coach and speak down, not
Mhm.
to wait until things get worse and stuff. I think it's nice to check in, have time where you go and check in on your own with your coach, and then you have the same coach, and then the other person will go check in with the coach, and then you have time where you all go together and fight each other if you want to fight each other and stuff. And the coach is sitting there in the middle and is like, okay, okay. And then I think it's nice. It's nice to have someone that can, because if you are in a relationship, you can't see what is going wrong, but the other person can. That are not in that relationship, like you can check in and they can help you out, and just to have that a relationship. I think
Mhm.
it's really, really important. I do that with my children as well because I know that I cannot give them 100% what they need. But I'm now aware that every person that I'm in a relationship is okay for me to check in every now and then and see whether are they okay or are you am I fulfilling your needs? Is there anything that I can do to make things better? So I think that is good. But we live in this world where people be like, why do I need a coach? Why do I need this? Or why do I need to make an effort in a relationship? They put a ring on it and they're like, that's it. Don't need to make an effort. Sometimes you hear people say, she wanted to get married, I married her. Or and now she's demanding do this, do that, we need to do it. But that's what relationship is about. Being a team and doing things together. So I think that's important. And Valentine's Day should be each and every single day. Like it's coming next Friday. Not next Friday, Friday, a week of Friday. Next week. It's next week, is it? Valentine's Day. Yeah, it's coming. So
Well,
just make it. Hmm?
even like my daughter is like 13 turning 14, and she's got a boyfriend. He's like the sweetest kid ever, and he like make has made an effort. Like he's even like booked going out for dinner on Valentine's Day with her like already. Like, and he's like asked his mom if she'll drive them. Like,
Okay.
and then he's like already like planned like what he wants to do with her on her birthday, because her birthday's like the end of February. And like just like this, and I'm like, wow, if I had a boyfriend that like showed up like that, I would maybe even consider dating again. Right? But it's like people have to like put an effort, but then you also have to like reciprocate that effort too, right? And show them that you care, and it might not be in like taking you out for dinner, but it might be like you show you care in different ways and show up in different ways, so that it's like what is your love language? Is it quality time? Is it words of affirmation? Is it I forget the other ones because mine's quality time and physical touch. But other people's are different. Getting presents, I think, is one of them. That is my
Yeah.
least favorite one. I do not like
Okay.
getting presents. I would rather have your presents than get a present, because presence is way more important to me of like being able to do things. Like I don't even like giving gifts. Ever. I like to I like to like be like, okay, what are we gonna go do together to make memories? And I think making memories together is way more important than like, here, I bought you this sweater. Right? Because that's what they're really going to remember in the end, is what you did together. And so even for my daughter, like the majority of what I spend our money on is like doing things together. Is like this, remember when we did this? Remember, even I was on the ski lift the other day, with my friends' kids because there's like, I think like 13 of us on the hill. And they were all having a drink and I don't drink. So I was like, I'll just keep skiing with the kids. So I'm like on the lift with the kids, and the kids are like chatting about, remember when we used to do this, this? And I was like overhearing them, and I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, remember when like Avi was really little and we used to like go to this one hike and we like hop back and across the creek on the rocks and blah blah blah. We haven't done that in a long time. We should do that again. And so then it like just listening to them, I'm like, this is like they obviously remember these things. Like
Yep.
they don't remember they got for their birthday or Christmas or anything like that. They remember those like times that we spent doing things together. And that's, I think, something that sometimes we forget because we think our kids want like the latest toy or the latest whatever. And really, they just want us to be present with them. And even skiing on the ski hill with them, like that's one of the reasons that we ski is because we can spend the entire day together as a family. For me and Ella, that's what it is. But like even with my friends, like we're spending the entire day in the mountains just doing something that we love. And even if they just want to hang out and have a couple drinks, and I wanted like, I think I did like 10 or 15 runs, and some of them were just with the kids and following the kids through the trees. And it was so fun. But I think some of that, like that love is really about like being present, right? It's not about giving chocolates. It's not about going out for dinner. It's about being
In
present.
present. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, that I think that is important. For me, my love language is physical touch and acts of service and quality time. I like that. The gifts don't mean anything to me, actually. If you're somebody who buys me gift, I like them. I like someone is spoiling me and things like that, but it's not really something that can, like, I'll say, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. If you buy me gifts and not spending quality time with me, then it's bye bye. I was just raised by my family where we just sit down and just talk fire, make fire, and we just sit around the fire, me and my dad or my parents. We just sit there and just talk. So I like that, just sitting, the things are simple things that people take for granted. I like those things. Like I like doing that. And when you said the children, I was telling my daughter's dad, um, I was saying it when your child says, "Oh, don't come and watch me, I'm okay." She does not mean that. I said to him, watch when you come, when she's performing, she performs, but you can see when she looks at the audience, when she sees all the parents, the performance changes completely. It means she wants you there. So I was telling her that, why do you say to your dad, you are okay for him not being there? And she was like, but he used to come a lot when I was little, but now I'm old. I was like, but you still need him in your heart, you know, but why? And she would say that to me, and me, I just show up. You can see that she actually gets excited when she sees me. And people do that in relationship, but they say, oh, I'm okay, but they're not. Liar. But I think it's nice to just be honest if you're dating someone and just be honest and be happy. Because at the end of the day, it's those little things that will change the relationship. It's not the big holidays, it's not the big present, it's just that being present and your happiness within as well, Amanda. When that person is happy, if you look at people who have got money, sometimes they do have money, and then if they are in a rough relationship, they're not happy. So it's really, really nice. It shows that happiness is actually, it's not created by anything, it's within you. So it's nice to find that happiness and just to make sure that the other person is happy. Obviously, self-love, that's where happiness is fulfilled. But when it comes to needs and stuff, it's just to check in with somebody. And guys are not being lazy. Guys are so lazy nowadays. Honestly, they don't understand the power of being in the present in your relationship. And you have so many gadgets now that you can do. People play games all day, they cycling, they do all sorts. And they forget about all these little things in a relationship. So I hope, guys, you're watching and make your woman happy and your women as well. If you're not happy, don't tell your spouse you are happy if you're not happy. Just communicate your needs. I rather communicate with someone instead of pretending that I'm happy if I'm not happy. Because that's when you end up creating sickness and funny chemicals into your body because the body it says, I'm not happy. Why are you forcing me to be happy? I'm not happy. So make Valentine's Day, guys, every single day. Even it means going to the shops and the supermarket, get pudding, like the Amanda said, the nice pudding, and just to have fun. Be like a 6-year-old. And 6 year, like young children, they're always happy. And it's when they become teenagers, that's when they are cautious about what they do. So just be happy. What do you think, Amanda?
I think that finding that happiness within is really big, right? And
Yeah.
when we can't expect somebody else to fill our entire cup for us, because also you have to fill your cup so that you can be able to give back to others. And when you're not self-full, then you're not able to like fully show up for others either. So I think that sometimes we really need to consider like what is it that I need for self-love right now? And self-love doesn't mean like spa days and self-love sometimes just means like I just read a book and like relaxed and I'm able to really just like show up for myself. And I think that that's something that we need to consider more often. And so if you are really struggling with something, like maybe you're getting divorced this year and it's like your first year alone on Valentine's Day after a whole bunch of years of being in a relationship, and then think back like when on Valentine's Day in the last like however many years of your marriage was somebody actually doing something for you and showing up for you. And if the answer is they weren't, then you've been alone on Valentine's Day for way longer than the just just a heads up, right? Like you really have been alone for a lot longer. And so I think that sometimes just having that like physical person there doesn't actually mean that they're there,
No.
especially if a relationship has fallen apart. And especially like I know for my situation, when I was married, it was very unhealthy with a very toxic person. That's like if you look up the levels of narcissism, I can check every box of what I experienced, and I know that escaping somebody with that personality is a really hard thing to do. And so I know anybody that's in that situation that might be starting to look up narcissistic personality disorder or like extreme versions of narcissism, because we all have narcissism, we all have narcissistic traits, no matter who you are, no matter how empathetic you are. If you're on this extreme side of empathy and being an empath, you still have some narcissistic traits, but then there's like the extreme other end where like I can check every box up from my marriage on what I've experienced with that. And when you start to understand those things and look at those things, like there's some self-love and compassion that you need to give yourself in order to heal from that situation. And so yeah, I think there's so many layers to that you really need to like look within yourself. And I think there's lots of people now too that there's like Galentine's events and like solo Valentine's events that if you really were feeling lonely, you could go to.
Okay, yeah.
Personally, I'll probably just go to the gym or go to my yoga class like I normally do and just like really
I'm going to
be
church
grateful.
on Valentine's Day.
Pardon?
I'm going to church on Valentine's Day.
Oh, go to church. Go.
We have a
If
big
I didn't have to
crusade.
work, I would probably go skiing. So
We have a big crusade. I didn't realize. And then when I looked, I was like, he did it deliberately to actually choose it to make it our pastor, our Jew. I was like, he did it deliberately to actually put it on Valentine's Day to actually see whether people are going to show up. But it's a deliverance anyway. It's just going to be beautiful. So I'm excited to go on that day. But I think there's loads of events now where people can go on Valentine's Day solo or just celebrate it at home if you can't celebrate it at home and just do your thing. Valentine's Day is on Friday this time. I think I'll be celebrating it on Saturday. So I'm
yeah,
looking forward to that. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I know for me, like that weekend, it starts on the Friday, it's teachers' convention, and then into the weekend where I've got plans to go see this like skiing event, and then also going skiing probably on the family day. And I think that for us in Canada, we have a family day. It's family day long weekend right around Valentine's Day, so it sometimes is also really great to like be like, okay, Valentine's Day is really just about spending time with family that you love, right? Or friends that you love and care about. And I think we can just look at Valentine's Day. I like teaching the kids about like Saint Valentine's and like the the whole story behind that as to what it actually what the history behind the day is, because I think that's really interesting because we just view Valentine's Day really it's kind of a Hallmark holiday, right? Where it's like almost made up by the chocolate companies and the card companies. And so when we really look at the history of it, it can be quite interesting.
Yeah, exciting. I'm excited for Valentine's Day. Exciting, guys. Get dressed. Even if you're at home, put on high heels, get some nice flowers, and just it's just for one day. Don't look at the price. You just buy, spoil yourself. Just buy and just be nice. Mostly for me, I don't go out because we're so busy on Valentine's Day. When I'm going out in a restaurant, I like my quietness. I like to go in a place where on Valentine's Day you can forget it. It can't be quiet. So I like to go out in a very quiet, nice, relaxing restaurant and have my meal there. So that's why I don't go out on the actual night of Valentine's Day. But I celebrate I get my teddies. I like teddies. And my children have taken over my teddies. If I receive a teddy on Valentine's Day, it becomes one of them. So yeah, anything else you want to add, Amanda?
If you're solo on Valentine's Day, remember that there's so much love around you, no
Yeah,
matter how you might be feeling, and truly like you'll look back on this at some point in time if you are struggling and be grateful for it in the end, because you'll have really wonderful memories that will show up even if this is like your first like Valentine's alone. And I think that know that you're not alone, that there's not you're not the only person celebrating Valentine's Day alone. And I think that sometimes it's our strength to be able to celebrate Valentine's Day alone, right? If you can be like, I own this, this is I got this, no worries. That's even more powerful than being in an unhealthy relationship where they're not even truly showing up for you.
yeah, I'll say the same, guys. If you're single, try not to say, why am I single? Why other people? Just enjoy the moment because the moment, that moment never comes back. So just enjoy every moment of it and just say, by next Valentine's Day, I'll be with someone special. And if your couples, guys, make the most of it. Enjoy your spouse, or if the things are not good, you either out, or if you are in, you can contact us here. Or even if you are solo, if you want to contact us, it will be your Valentine's Day. Yeah, why not? God bless everyone. Please do share our videos, subscribe to our channels, and join the group Ngozi Talkers and Unique Billionaire Mindset. And go to the website as well and sign up. Leave with grace, and God bless you.